guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be about using the save the cat method on my book Ghost of You. So I have notes, I'm gonna be looking down, so let's go ahead and jump right on in. So starting off, let me go to my, I should have opened up my notebook to that page, but I digress. So really just navigating my story using the save the cat method, because I've been trying to learn more about the craft of writing and really honing all of those skills into actually like writing the story in a really cohesive way that makes sense. I got a notification, I think it was like 2 weeks from when I'm posting this. So as I'm filming this, was like a week ago, but I got a notification from Penzu, the journal app website that I used when writing. I started Leo and Dahlia 5 years ago. And since then, we finally got to this version that makes sense. Jesus Christ, it took 5 years and I'm still not done writing this goddamn book. I mean, I finished a draft of it. It was bad. But yeah, this is a story that's 5 years in the making. Jesus freaking Christ. Okay, this is wild. But anyway, let's dive into each beat and how I'm covering that generally. I'm not gonna give you the whole rundown of every little thing about the book, but just like a little bit of how I'm navigating using the save the cat method. So starting off with beat number 1, which is the opening image, and that is technically the snapshot of your characters in introduction. So for me, that's all of the drama leading up to, not even drama, but all of the different perspectives leading up to the major dramatic moment, because I'm doing dual POV, and I know some people are like, don't do dual POV anymore, or like, you know, people don't like it anymore, or like, you know, there's so many different opinions on dual POV, but for me, I feel like that's very crucial for my story and for my characters, because yes, it is a second chance romance. It's a lot of, the story is mainly about mental health, really. That's the huge focus, and how both characters deal with grief and deal with their families and what they're going through. So for Leo, at the beginning, Leo is actually in LA, and he has to move back to town to go back to school. So he's really going through the fact that he wasn't doing well in LA with making music, still grieving a lot with losing this mutual character that him and Dahlia have in common, being severely depressed, being on medication, being away from everybody, having his own issues with his family, and not having that connection kind of made it hard to do what he loves in LA. Even though he did make a connection with his roommate, who was one of his friends, it's still a completely different experience, and it's really hard to adjust. So coming back, due to terms that him and his father came up with, was that by 2 years or whatever I wrote, if you're not doing X, Y, and Z, you need to come back home. And so he's coming back home to go back to school to get his degree in business, to take over the family business, or at least work in the family business. So that type of part of the story where it's like, he's not doing what he loves anymore, and now having to go back to town, going back to his hometown where he lost one of his best friends. He feels like the black sheep of the family. Him and Dahlia have a tough history, and then also being around Dahlia's family, it's a lot. And also just like his own struggles with his own self-worth, but also mainly his own struggles of where he fits in society, where he fits in the world, and just really struggling with that. So when he ends up going to campus and ends up becoming roommates with Dahlia, the person who is at the sole center of all of the things that he's struggling with, it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot of shit that he had been processing slowly, but hasn't fully like come to terms with all of everything that has happened. with all of that literally being across the hall from him. Like, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a huge adjustment, and then going through all of the things that he's going through with his family, it's just all gonna hit him. So it's really just navigating his story of all of that from his perspective, while also still having feelings for Dahlia. And then for Dahlia, she is out of the psychiatric facility where she was for about 6 months or so. She was there, and within that 6 month span or whatever, she she applied to be readmitted into their local college because the incident that happened before, that letter there. She's like, you know what? I'm gonna start fresh. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna fix everything. Everything's fine. She's dealing with her own grief and her own situations, not only just with the fact of losing a family member, but the grief of her relationship, her initial relationship, which is the relationship that she wants to remain intact. So she's like, I'm gonna go back to school. I'm gonna kick ass. I'm gonna do really well in all my classes, and me and Milo are gonna be back together. And it's like, what? When you read the story, when I put out the book, or if you're gonna be a beta reader for me, you'll really realize like why that's not a good idea. It's already not a good idea to get back together with your ex, but there's a lot of shit that Dahlia is not wanting to process by getting back together with him. Yeah, it's a whole situation. It's a lot. So I feel like for me, that opening image is really just both of them for our first like two chapters each. I'm just navigating them coming back home. So you get that initial dread from Leo coming back to town. The second chapter dives into his relationship with his parents. You're like, oh, that's part of why you don't want to come back home. But there's going to be more, obviously, because it is a romance. So it's like, okay, also your ex is there too. Ooh, yeah, there's some drama. And then for Dahlia, it's her having this fake sense of self and these goals and being like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And then immediately getting hit with her past and a lot of the trauma and her struggles with self-worth, hitting her in the face too as well, because Leo is her roommate. That's her ex-boyfriend. That's also the person who has also been through a lot with her, someone who she deeply connects with mentally and emotionally, being in the same space and also being the person that broke her heart. Ooh, it's like, it's so convoluted and so messy and so frustrating, where she's like, I want to hug him. Like her part of her emotionally just wants to hug him and be embraced by somebody who knows what she's been through, but also wanting to slap the shit out of him because he's also part of the reasons why she feels the way that she feels. So it's very interesting to have that opening image. And I do so in a comedic way a little bit, where she comes back from a date with her boyfriend that she's trying to fix everything with. She's like, everything's going great, everything's amazing, and she's walking into the dorm room, and as she walks in, she's on cloud nine. She's not really paying attention, but then she stops and she turns, and Leo is on the couch with her blanket that she has on his lap, eating her cereal. So she's just like, oh, what are you doing here? Immediately just snaps into this mode of her past, and also everything just hitting her. It's kind of comedic, but also in a way it's very jarring, because it's having that air of oh, everything's gonna be perfect and fine, and then reality hits you. And also for Leo, just being I don't want to be here. I don't want to be back in school. I don't want to do business. I hate my life. I hate my family. Oh my God. Hopefully my roommate is cool. I don't have time to deal with that type of issue too as well. And it being your ex-girlfriend, baby, the drama immediately. So for beat 2, which is your theme stated. So a theme is a statement. The theme stated. So a statement is made by a character that hints at what the hero's arc will be. And it could also be referred to as the life lesson. And for me, the life lesson is actually through one of the antagonists. There's more than one. So it's very much through one of the antagonists. For Dahlia, it's gonna be very jarring, because this is also just like another aspect of Dahlia with her journey of self-worth and dealing with this whole situation with Milo. Yeah, it gets messy. And then for Leo, it's more so of his family, and from his family, but also a little bit from his friends too as well. Because it's like there's a lot of found family in this story too, and just how that ties into who he is as a character and the route that he'll be going down. Number 3, beat number 3 is a setup. So you use these scenes to explore the hero's status quo life, and their flaws. So the reader learns more about how the hero's life looks like before the transformation, including how your character's life is flawed in some way. You introduce supporting characters, and you show the hero's reluctance to change, and also hinting at the stakes at risk should the hero not change. So yeah, from there, it's very much what would happen if Dahlia doesn't make the decision that she does make. And also for Leo, when it comes to making the decision that he makes in terms of reconnecting with Dahlia. Like, if he didn't do so, what would his life look like if he didn't? And what he wants to do moving forward with being in that situation, being roommates, because it is a change, it is a shift. They hadn't seen each other in like 2 years, so not only is it hard for him to just be around her, but now the fact that they're roommates, it's like you have to set that standard, not those standards, but like set those rules up, in terms of how to communicate, like how to go about living together. And so Dahlia sets up her boundaries, and he's like, you know what, I'm not going to interfere with her life. I'm not going to touch this situation. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to do anything. But it's ultimately him making the decision between, do I leave her be or do I help? Do I interfere? And not interfere in the way of where it's like he's taking over her life or doing anything harmful to her or telling her what to do, but stepping into that role he has been in before. And will she let him? Because it is a second chance, and they've been through a lot. So it's like, will she be open to him becoming part of her life again? And is he comfortable with what this new experience is going to be like for them? Because he's still in love with her, but does he even have a chance to be with her? Like, you know, very much so. Like, essentially, that whole situation. And what it would look like if Dahlia ever found love outside of him. Like, how would he handle that? So it's very much like that kind of struggle for them when it comes to deciding on how to move forward, if they're going to move forward as friends or not, or they're going to be living like separate lives, that type of thing. So it's really that initial situation that will bring them later together romantically, because it's a second chance romance. I'm not giving it away. It's a second chance romance. So just really just like the catalyst of that. Beat number 4 is the catalyst. So inciting incident that should happen to the hero, which will catapult them into a new world and a new way of thinking. So an action that prevents them from returning to the status quo life. So breakups, deaths, firings, invitations, blah, 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 blah. And this is like one of the major situations in this story. I already wrote it. I love it. By how like I move from the initial situation to how it ends up. It starts off with Leo and Milo, and ends up with first it starts off with Dahlia and Milo, and ends up with Leo and Dahlia, and that shift and what happens in between, and how it really alters Dahlia's state of mind. And also Leo is able to see Dahlia be vulnerable again, because he hadn't seen her like that in so long. Like, she does snap at him when she first sees him like sitting on the couch, but it's a different vulnerability. It's the sadness, it's the depression, it's all of the things that were tied to them beforehand that really like just comes up in that moment. Moving on to beat number 5, which is debate, which is after the catalyst. The hero usually takes multiple scenes or chapters to react to what happened in the catalyst, debates what they will do next, and show reluctance to change. This is the part I am currently working on. So I'm leaning more towards of just having like 2 chapters on this. I don't want to make it too long. Chapters. I'll do one in Dahlia's perspective and one in Leo's perspective, because I don't want to take too long for this, because I really want to get to like the meat potatoes of them having a relationship, but also really diving into a lot more of their mental journeys and their mental health, because that's a huge part of their stories, of their experience together, and having those tough conversations. Because this book is, obviously all books have like dialogue, obviously have a lot of reflection scenes, but I feel like for this story, it's going to be a lot of conversations, especially between them, because there's so much between them. There's so much past, there's so many emotions, there's so much grief, there's so much hurt, that they need to have these hard conversations. And it's going to be hard to write for me, but it's very crucial for their character development to have these conversations, to have these moments, to react in certain ways, and how their friends help them along in that journey, but also doing the cute subplot of Dahlia's best friend and Leo's best friend, one of his best friends, and their dynamic too as well, trying to like slide that in there too as well, because the second book is going to be their story. So really just trying to get to the meat potatoes of that, so I won't take too long for our debate. Beat number 6 is break into 2. The hero decides to accept the call to action, leave their comfort zone, try something new, etc. Decisive action beat that separates the status quo. So this is going to be after it, and this is going to be pretty much a situation where Leo realizes like, oh crap, I'm still in love with her. This is not good. This is not good. I don't know how to deal with these feelings that I still have, because he's always felt those feelings before, but to have Dahlia like in his face, looking the way she does, as cute as she is, and like just like looking at him in a certain way, it hits him all over again. He's like, oh, fuck. Where it's just like, he just like literally just completely loses it, like, oh my god, yeah, this isn't good. Like, it wasn't good at first, like it wasn't, but now it's really not good. Like, this is not gonna be easy for me to navigate this whole situation with her. And then for Dahlia, it's very much also bringing about those feelings, but her fighting those feelings and being like, nope, putting up that wall, putting up those defenses of like, nope, he is not coming back in that capacity whatsoever. He's barely lucky to be my friend. Like, just like setting those boundaries up and really fighting her true nature and how she feels about him. Beat number 7 is the B story. So you introduce a new character or characters who ultimately serve to help the hero learn the theme or life lesson, which enters this antagonist even more for Dahlia. It's going to be very interesting, because this other character is going to have their own story too. Yeah, an antagonist is getting their own story, but that is because this character is a crucial character for Dahlia's journey. When it comes to dealing with her own feelings of like self-worth, happiness, internal happiness, so not putting her happiness in other people. Yeah, it's gonna be a journey with this one. For Leo, I don't know what I'm gonna do for this one. It might be someone from his family. I think that's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna put that down. I'll put that down in a minute. I think that's what I'm gonna do for that one. For his perspective during this situation, for this transition. Because at first I had it being his friends, and I think that was also my problem, was the fact that his friends are extremely supportive, but I don't want them to be like that, because they're not stereotypical characters, but that stereotypical behavior of the stereotyped character, being like, you can do it, yeah, go girl, you need to find confidence, like that type of thing. I don't want that to be the side characters' perception, because when we moved into both of their stories, that's not who they are completely. Like, I don't want that to be like the notion of like, oh, they're very like surface level characters. It's like, no, I want y'all to at least see like, yes, they're gonna be supportive, but they're also messy as hell. And then you're like, wait, I want to know your story. Like, I'm nosy. Like, how did you get in your situation? Like, when they're out, Leo mentions someone that one of the characters had a history with, and the character just goes like stoic, straight face, and immediately is like, you know what, I'm leaving. And you're like, what's going on there? What's that? Like, I want readers to like be interested in their stories too as well. So I don't want them to be one dimensional, because I want them to have their own stories, and you get to get more into their journeys. So in this story, you get to see them fleshed out a little bit more. So it's not just like a flat character. They have some things that you are familiar with, and then when you get to their story, you're like, oh, got it. That's why they acted like that. Or like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So just really just having them be good characters, at the very least. Like, even though they're not the focal point, I'm not gonna have every point about them in Leo and Dahlia's story, but at least giving you enough to be curious about their lives and what their experiences are going to be like in their story. Beat number 8, fun and games. So long sequence of multiple scenes or chapters where we see the hero in their new upside down world, either loving it or hating it, succeeding or floundering. So this is where Dahlia starts to spend more time with friends, and her and Leo actually start to become friends. So this is going to be where they actually decide to become friends and actually have like a friendly relationship. So like doing activities together. So I'll probably do like 3 chapters on that, 3 or 4 chapters, not too long. Like I said, I want to do more of like their mental health journey and those hard conversations. So yes, they're going to be on the journey of being friends, but they still are going to have a lot of shit going between them that's going to make it a lot harder to just jump into like, oh my goodness, we're going from friendship to straight to lovers. It's like, no, there's a lot to unpack between them, and it's going to take a minute. So yeah, really just that between them. And then for Leo's perspective of him becoming friends with Dahlia, but also having to deal with the fact like, yes, this is something that is positive that's going on and something that he wanted to pursue, but also struggling with his family and his family's input on the situation, because they have a completely different perspective on how to handle this situation. Also Dahlia's family too as well, what they think about this situation of them becoming friends again, and how that affects them. Yeah, not like in a Romeo Juliet thing of like, no, you're not supposed to be with her, or you can't be friends with her anymore, but just like the history and everything that has gone on between them, and how that really just resurfaces a lot of trauma, grief, loss, some anger, some frustrations, and other different emotions from both sides of both families, and how they navigate this new phase of their relationship, this new phase of their friendship. Beat number 9 is the midpoint. So you give your characters there's a false victory or a false defeat, but something raises the stakes and push the hero forward. So this is where they start to act more like a couple. This is where I'm gonna really like amp it up, where they do like a lot of like sweet things for each other. So I'm really gonna have to like take note of like all the things that about each character, because I did like my character pages. I put them up in the other video of like the things that they like and dislike, and that's gonna be a huge part of this aspect of this part of the story, where they do certain things that both of them like to do, and doing it more in a romantic way versus fun and games where they were just doing it because they're friends and they know each other. But this one is in a way of more romantically having those longing glances, subtly touching hands. Like, I want a little bit of a slow burn, getting from friends to lovers, but also having a whole bunch of drama in between. So really, that's really what what's gonna go on in the midpoint. Beat number 10 is bad guys close in. If false victory, this is where things spiral, get worse. And if it's a false defeat, things seem to get better for the hero. Regardless, the hero's deep-rooted flaws or internal struggles come to the surface. So for this one, it's going to be both. it's going to be a false victory for Dahlia and a false defeat for Leo. So this is where really we're getting into the meat and potatoes of their mental health and what they value and what the people around them, what their opinions do, or other people's opinions impact them in their lives and how they move forward. For Leo, it's still a lot of the grief and the guilt that he feels from the situation, losing this person that had such an impact in his life, and also just losing that sense of family that he had developed prior to this loss, and dealing with the fact that his own family, he doesn't have any connection with them. And so just really navigating that and the ways that he acts out towards them, because of this grief and this loss that is still very, very fresh, very new to him. And this is his way of getting it out, because he didn't get it out before he left, before he could actually like confront his family. So instead of, it's kind of like, on my other channel, I did a video about Never Have I Ever and how like Davy processes her guilt. It's kind of like that in a sense, where Leo is not addressing it, and then later it come out emotionally, and then really processing how that looks later on in the story. And then for Dahlia, it's really just her struggles with her self-worth and a lot of the triggers that had happened before not in the incident that led her into the facility, but in the incident prior to the facility, but also what was ongoing when she came back. So something that has never really fully gone away. And this also has the antagonist tied to it. So yeah, it's gonna get really complicated for these characters. Anyway, 11, beat 11, all is lost. The moment is the lowest point of the novel. The action beat where something happens to the hero that, combined with internal bad guys, pushes the heroes to rock bottom. It's typically like a whiff of death during this segment, literally or metaphorically. So yeah, this is literally like the symbolize of the death of the old hero and the rebirth of a transformed hero. So this is where Dahlia is still going through her self-worth journey with this antagonist tied to it. And then with Leo having to confront this antagonist too as well, because this antagonist has a tie to both of them, and how this antagonist really impacts not only them individually, but how this antagonist impacts Leo and Dahlia's budding relationship. And also from that, how Dahlia reacts to Leo in the situation with the antagonist. So yeah, it's very much everything's tied together. This is where we start to really get into like, oh, this is what y'all had some issues with. Okay. And it's the antagonist that really just launches this complete situation where they're fighting all the time. Every small thing comes up and it just boils over into like this explosive moment, like, you know. And I don't want to do like an act 3 breakup, because it's not necessarily them like they officially become a couple, but it's really just like that moment where it's like, oh, we have a lot more to process before we even decide if we're going to be together, type of thing. So it's going through that struggle. So like if you've seen any TV show, even if the couple doesn't get together, and that whole will they won't they thing where they have all these other issues that come in between before actually getting together, yeah, that's very much this aspect for my story. Beat 12 is Dark Night of the Soul. The hero takes time to process everything that's happened thus far. The hero should be worse off than at the start of the novel. So yeah, this is where their mental health takes a hit. This is where both of them, Leo and Dahlia, are going through it mentally, and they're both like retreating, or like they run away, like they do like their old tactics of what they've done before, but to a different extent, because of for Leo after having this situation with his family, who he runs to, and just how all of that ties into them as characters, but also confronting each other in negative ways, where it very much, they have so much history, they have so much between them that they know what language will hurt each other, but not necessarily doing so to hurt each other, but they do both, with how they communicate. It does make them retreat in themselves because of the certain things that are said. So it's not like, oh, you're a B word or whatever, yeah, this is why you're a SLUT or anything like that. It's nothing like that, but just like how they know each other so well, it hurts that someone is addressing the things that they are afraid of, that they don't want to address, things that they don't want to focus on. Someone else is like, I'm gonna call you out on your shit, and they don't like it. Neither one of them likes it, but that's the thing, is because they have so much history together. They know each other, they know what each other is going through, they know their tics, they know their triggers, they know what they can be better at. They know each other, like they truly know each other, and that's the most frightening thing, is because they have such a deep connection that it's truly terrifying that someone can actually see all of the things, see all of your flaws and still love you, and see all of your weaknesses and want you to cultivate them into strengths. So really, both of them struggling with that, so they're both self-sabotaging. It's gonna be fun. And then beat number 13, break into 3. The story is going to be a very emotional journey, okay? You might cry like me. So beat number 13, break into 3. It's the aha moment where the hero realizes what they must do to not only fix the problems created in Act 2, but more important, fix themselves, and be reborn as an improved version of themselves. The character arc is nearly complete. So this is where both of them, after having conversations and also reflecting, because I don't want to have it be full of dialogue for this part, but certain conversations need to be had with other parties, not with each other anymore, because they've had these conversations before with each other. They know what the other person thinks of them, like they know what they're capable of, like they know their weaknesses, they know their strengths, they know what they can be better at, they know what they're running from, and that's not something that they can talk about anymore with each other without being pulled back into that state. So it's a little bit of a struggle, because they both love each other, and they both know the version of each other that they can be, but they're still struggling with that communication. Like there's a level of immaturity, because they are like 23, 24 in the story. So they're still struggling with being able to have those conversations in a mature way, where it actually is beneficial towards each other. And so they have those kind of they have these aha moments with other people, those who are more mature. So for Leo, it's with another adult. For Dahlia, it's with whoever I decide at the moment. I forgot who I have. For Dahlia, it's with a different adult. And also the both of them processing the loss that they have that's mutual. So this is where also that loss comes back up in terms of how to heal themselves and how they can come together and be better people separately, but also how they can be better together. Beat 14 is the finale, so the hero must prove that they really have learned the theme / have transformed, and show them enacting the plan that they came up with into break 3. Bad guys are destroyed, flaws are conquered, it's a better world. So this is when they finally come together and have that first mature conversation. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be a perfect conversation between them, but it's a step in the right direction for them. I think I'm leaning towards a HEA. I'm leaning towards it, but you're going to work really hard to get there. It's going to be a journey. You're going to be like, oh my God, can y'all just like shut up and get over it and love each other all over again? Jesus Christ. Why is this taking so long? But I really just want to dive into their mental health struggles and how that going through those journeys, you can still love somebody while they're going through those journeys, and not necessarily be like, oh my god, we're back together, and then literally the relationship, you're gonna be struggling regardless if you're together or not. But having them both process what's been going on and having those mature conversations and seeing if they can continue to have those mature conversations. Can they move forward together in a way that is completely healthy for both of them? And then we move into beat 15, which is the final image. It's the after snapshot of the hero going through the transformation. Visual representation of the hero's life after this exciting journey has changed them for the better. So this is where I'm gonna actually do an epilogue. And the epilogue is going to be obviously them, but also gives you a hint too into the next story and the relationship between the other characters, where it's just like, oh my god, like what is happening between y'all? This is weird. And then you get a little nosy where you're like, you know what, I gotta read y'all story, because ain't no way that this is how we gonna leave off with y'all, okay? Because why are y'all being weird and shady? Like, I need to read y'all story. So that is really like how I'm gonna break down this story. Let me know in the comments if Save the Cat works for you. What beats are you focusing on in your book? Which part are you working on? Have you read Save the Cat, or are you using a different method? I'm just nosy, okay? I'm nosy on how other people write their stories and where they get their ideas and how they're working on their craft. But yeah, that's all I have for this video. If you like this video, be sure to like it, to comment below what you're working on. And until next time, stay magical. Bye.